My name is Helene Mallett, and I graduated in 1959. I was in the first class of women to be admitted in the Foreign Service School. I applied and was admitted, and I had no idea that this was an all-male school. And my mother came with me over Easter holiday, and the school was out of session, but there were a few men around, and she said, "Where are all the girls?" And we met a Jesuit, and he said, something to the effect, "You should be proud of your daughter. She's in the first class. We only have had men here, except in the nursing school." Now, there were women in the night school, and I understand from them that in order to graduate, that sometimes they had to jump through hoops because they weren't allowed on campus during the daytime. It was a different era then, a different scene. And we organized and established the Foreign Service of Women's Association. We had a lot of different programs. We did PR things like held a tea for the president of the university so he'd get to know who we were, to raise money. And we ended up with a lot of money. We did bake sales. And I think we did a bake sale every week, and they were very popular. It's sort of funny looking back on it. I can't imagine that being done today. We were all terribly serious about studies, and I think it was sort of to combat the impression that we were there to get husbands. Some faculty members took pity on us because it was a difficult haul. I was in many classes by myself, all male. The male students, some of whom I'm in contact with, they were really great to us. No one said, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't belong in an all-male school." They were really great. We didn't have the average experience. We didn't live on campus, so this was, I think, a little different from what maybe current graduates experience. I don't have any idea what the history is of the women on campus, although I have to say I'm somewhat pleased to see that there are a lot of them, and probably more than men. I'm not sure about that, but there does seem to be an awful lot. I had every intention of working for the U.S. government. I thought I was going to go into the Foreign Service, and I took my written test and my oral test. Only at the end of the oral did one of the gentlemen come up to me, and I sort of felt patted on the head, saying that something to the effect that they didn't have married career women employees because they would have to invest too much money in them, and in all probability, just some comment like, "Just looking at you, you're going to be married." And so we're not going to say it's impossible, but we will contact you. Well, I never heard from them. And I did hear from other girls who went through a similar situation. They were never contacted either. I did some teaching on the elementary, secondary, high school level, and also the adults, ESL for adults, high school equivalency, adult basic education. Probably the most rewarding part of my career in teaching. And I'm retired and enjoying my retirement, but I feel that I got an outstanding education at Georgetown. It was challenging. It was the foundation that they presented that I took advantage of, and I looked at things differently. I was more critical. I did a lot more critical thinking. It just opened my eyes up to new things and different ways of conducting myself and learning about new things. One of the professors always said we have to have a future preference. And at the time, that didn't mean too much, but I never forgot it. And it's true. You always have to be looking forward to future generations.